Welcome to the Real Estate Investing Club. This is the place everyday real estate investors gather to share their best stories, biggest insights, and favorite tactics to grow a portfolio of cash flowing properties in today's market. Here's your host, Gabe Peterson.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. It is Friday. I hope you guys are having a great day. It is a good day for a second reason because we have Ray Glymph with us on the show today. Ray is an investor out in West Virginia, and he went from homeless to 100 units. So he has a lot of great wisdom out there for people who want to see financial freedom in their life. Ray, I'm super excited to have you on. Thanks for hopping on the show.
Thanks for having me, Gabe.
Absolutely. I told you before we got on here, we always like starting with stories to hear how people got to where they are. It sounds like you got a great one. So why don't you start to the beginning of your story in real estate and tell us how you got here?
Yeah, so real estate for me was actually an accident. And I was just in a group of guys. It was probably about 8 to 10 guys. We were all just listening and having a drink or two. And they started throwing out words that I had no idea what they meant. Refinance, renovate, And at that point, I'm like, man, I don't know what these guys are talking about, but I need in. They're making more money than me, and I need to learn how I can do this. So at that point, that's when I really started taking real estate seriously.
Nice. So you were out drinking with some friends, and it turns out that they were investors.
Yeah. Well, they were. Well, what happened? They weren't even investors. They were in other entrepreneurial fields, but they wanted to be investors. And I think a lot of people hear about people who want to be investors. They knew a little bit more than me, and when it came time to invest, we were all going to partner up, but everybody backed out. Nobody did it, and I was the only person that did it.
All right. Yeah, well, you're the one that went through, so you're the one that got the rewards. The title that you put for the episode was "Homeless to 100." It sounds like there was a lot of hardship in between those 100, from the beginning to the 100 doors you have now. Tell us about that journey. Like, how did it start, and what was that first deal like?
Yeah, so the homeless part, we were homeless twice in our lives. One was after September 11th, my dad lost his job. It was, no bad drug stories or anything like that.
Yeah.
But that kind of created the fuel and the hunger to never be in that position for me as a youth.
Mm-hmm.
And to always give back. That was something that it always taught me. I always wanted to give back if I was ever in a position to do so. So some of my first deals, I remember doing low income housing to help give people quality housing along the way. And, housing is a mental health. They go hand in hand and correlate. So giving someone quality housing meant a lot to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're the first person on the show that's equated those two, but I feel like it is very appropriate to say housing is mental health. If you don't have housing, or if your housing is not secure, then your anxiety just goes through the roof. It's one of the things that we absolutely cannot live without. One of the three staples of life: food, water, I guess air, and housing.
Yeah.
So you started off, you wanted to focus on low income housing. Tell us about that first deal. How'd you get it?
Yeah, so it was actually a pretty sketchy deal. I always tell people, I bought it on Craigslist. This was, if you guys don't know what Craigslist is like one of the sketchiest places, but the guy was honest. I bought it for about...
sorry to jump in, but you mentioned, if you guys don't know what Craigslist is, it's not popular. I didn't think Craigslist was popular either. It is still one of the most visited websites in the world, which is crazy to me how popular Craigslist is. But anyways, keep going.
Yeah, so we ended up buying it. I bought it, and I made all the mistakes that a new investor would make. I overpaid for what it was. I bought in the wrong area. I was buying out of state. But the deal actually worked out, and I overpaid.
What year was this?
Innovated it. Huh?
What year was this?
This was about 8 to 9 years ago.
Okay, so like 2000, what is it? What, like 2000?
It's about
2015?
Yeah, 2015, about that time, 2015, 2016, somewhere around there.
Okay.
And I overpaid for it, but perseverance and persistence, I made it work.
And a good market.
and it was actually a great market. It was up and coming market, and I sold that asset. I wish I didn't to this day. That's one of the things I always look back on, is selling it. But
where'd you buy that one?
That was in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Pittsburgh, okay.
Yeah, so a very growing market right now. And for what I sold it for, worth 3 times the value. They just sold it for 3 times the amount than what I sold it for. So,
I
ladies and
I
gentlemen,
had
old real estate.
I had one of those stories too. I've sold some assets that I wish I held, but and this is something that you see the price of something that you sold now, and it's so much more than you sold it for. But the money that you got from the sale in that time in your life is, I'm sure, it catapulted you to the next deal. And I always remind myself this. I sold a duplex in Tacoma, or in Auburn, and now it's worth like double what I sold it for. But I used the proceeds of that sale to buy my first commercial property, my first mobile home park, and that kind of got me into commercial, which led me to this. So never, whenever you sell a property, it's always you want to hold on to it, but at a certain time in your life, there is a good time just to sell it, even if you know that you could be making more money later in your life, or later down the road, because that money might be useful to you now, to get to the next step of your career. So
Yeah,
just wanted
I
to throw that out
agree
there
with
for
you.
people.
Yeah, I agree with you because that me selling that property, the reason I sold it was to buy a multi-unit.
There you go.
So that opened the door for me to buy a multi-unit. So if it makes sense, I mean, always keep that money working for you. That's one of the key things.
Yeah, absolutely. So awesome that you got it off Craigslist. That's all. You're the first person actually that said they bought their first deal off Craigslist. It's good to hear that's working still. So after that first unit, you sold it. It's been that was 2015. It's been
Yeah.
8 years, you mentioned, since then.
hmm
Now you're at over 100 doors. How
hmm
has the progression gone?
It's going well, and the lessons you get from the first one to the second one, they're all lessons, and I use those to help me scale. Putting in systems, SOPs, those all are very important. So whether you're doing single family, multifamily, part of the scale process is learning and setting those systems up. So each one is beneficial, and I take a lot from each one, and I do continue to buy.
What were the systems? They're so important to get set up when you're first getting started. You want to do more volume. What were the systems, looking back, that you feel were most instrumental to the scale that you're at now?
Property management software, I think, is one of the biggest things because you can run yourself rugged if you are going to do your own property management.
Mm-hmm.
So having that in place, and also documentation, document everything that you do,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Document step by step the systems that you're using, whether it's how you clean an Airbnb or, the colors that you're painting, document it all.
Yeah, and it's useful for your own liability's sake. We had in one of our mobile home parks, we document everything, and we do, biannually, twice a year, we have our trees trimmed and maintained by arborists. And a tree fell in one of the parks. It nicked an RV of somebody that was living in our park, and they ended up suing us, claiming that we didn't, it was our fault, but we had documentation. We proved that, hey, this we've been doing what was needed. This is an act of God. It's nothing that we could have prevented. We were having the trees maintained and inspected. So when you document absolutely everything that you're doing, all the maintenance tasks, all of the rehabs that you're doing with the property, keep receipts, keep everything. Eventually, something might come up, and you'll need that documentation that you could show in the time that it comes up. So absolutely, I love that you said document everything. That's not something that a lot of people talk about, but I feel like it is very important.
Yeah, it's a boring step, but it will save you. It is not a matter of if; it's more of a matter of when.
Yep. So you've mentioned multi-units a couple times now. So you've gone from the single family, you got into multifamily. What was that transition like?
I think honestly, and you hear a lot of people say this, multifamily is a lot easier. Once you have your systems in place, it becomes easier. You put the same energy into a single family, whether it be underwriting it, managing it, you end up putting that same amount of energy in. And then, with single family, once you have that one vacancy, you're 100% vacant. Where multifamily, one vacancy in a 6 unit building, you still have cash flow.
Yeah.
So that was one of the biggest things I learned about multifamily. We had and I'll share with you guys, we had a water line main burst. I think it
That
ended up
sucks.
costing us about like 15,000 to 20,000 to get it replaced. And that was on a single family house. We had the same thing happen on a multifamily. That single family house, I lost out on a year's cash flow. Where the multifamily, it was covered in 2 months. So
Mm.
it's a big niche difference in the two.
Yeah. What sizes are you guys looking at?
So I'm right in the middle. So I'm buying anything from 5 and above to under 20 units.
5 to 20. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is kind of like a not an overlooked size. I guess not really overlooked, but it's an area of investing that the big guys don't want it. It's too small.
Mhm.
The really small guys, it's too big. And so not a lot of people look at that 5 to 20 unit range unless they have a huge presence in an area. So they have a huge presence in Nashville. They can do, economies of scale and buy those smaller units. But you can often find better deals in that range, I've found. We don't actually look at multifamily, but I have had good deals in that range sent to me. So that's interesting that you should you focus on that. So for the next 3 years, you've made it, 8 years into your career so far. What does the future hold for you?
Really, I'm at the point in my career where we're building to give back. So we're building, low income housing. We're building housing to house veterans, people with disabilities. There's a big need in our community. So we're doing that. We're working with other community leaders. We're gathering grants and funding that help us actually build those new projects.
Interesting. You're using grant money to
Yeah.
build housing.
So we just, I can tell you, we just did a grant for 1.5 million to build 12 units.
That is. Tell me about that process. I haven't heard anybody that's used grant money to build
Yeah, so it's
housing.
actually it's a federal grant, so you can get this anywhere in the United States, different amounts. There's an application process, and it comes out I think once a year.
Mm,
And so we just did the grant. It's about a 2 month process,
mm.
and then it's an award system about 4 months. You get a certain amount of points based on how many houses you'll build for disability. You can use it to rehab property, new purchases, new build, and pretty much as long as you fulfill the duties of the grant, the money's awarded to you, and it's pretty much a forgivable loan. So
Wow.
yeah,
I
so
thought it was just a low interest loan. I didn't know it
no,
was free
100%
money.
forgivable, and we'll get this pretty much. We'll have this asset built for us, um, with no debt. And so my game plan at scale is one, we're giving back, we're helping people, but then building these assets with low to minimal debt at the end of them.
That's interesting. What's the name of this grant?
It's the Federal Home Loan Savings Bank, I believe. And it's
Federal
it's a
Home.
federal program. They have them in every state. A lot of people don't know about it. And I was at dinner one day and I connected with a lady, and she writes grants for a living. And that's the
Hmm,
power of real estate network. And lo and behold, 2 years later, we're working on this big grant. So
that's awesome, man. Congratulations. I'm curious if they, low income housing, mobile home parks often fall in that. I'm curious if it supports the construction of mobile home parks.
it
Um,
probably will. Like I said, it's just not construction; it's rehab. So it could be something as far as maybe we want to bring utilities to this, and we want to use those funds to bring utilities. We want to house more people of us, or maybe we're doing Section 8 or housing more people with veterans or disabilities. It can be any of those.
Interesting. Huh. Well, there you go. You learn something on every podcast. All right. Well, it looks like we have run down the clock, so it's time to jump into the quick question round. Are you ready?
Gotcha. Let's go.
All right. It starts with education. Could be any form. Could be movies, books, whatever you name it. I just need two recommendations: one for general life wisdom, and then one for real estate.
Um, the real estate, I would say books and podcasts would be. Do you want me to get more specific on?
Yeah, yeah. Give me like an actual recommendation of a book or of a podcast that you like to listen to.
So easiest book would be Think and Grow Rich. I think that applies to
Okay.
real estate and real life.
Okay. Okay. And that's for general life wisdom. Give me one. Oh, or is that for real estate?
We can use it for general life.
Okay.
We'll use it for general life, and then for real estate, I like Ken McElroy's ABCs of Real Estate. That's a good beginner's book.
There you go. All right. Next question is for your younger self. Let's go back to the Ray who was just looking at that Craigslist posting back in 2014. Go back to him, look him in the eye, give him one piece of advice moving forward.
Buy more.
Buy more. That is who's ever keeping count. We keep a running tally of the people that say they wish they got started earlier. And it is a lot. It's probably 80% of the people that come on this show. I ask this question. They say, I wish I got started earlier. I'm going to put that in that same category.
Yeah.
So every time somebody says this, I always reach out to you, whoever is listening to this episode right now. This is a message directly to you. If you haven't got started in real estate, get started now. Everybody wishes they got started earlier. Just go out there, buy your first deal. You're not, even if you don't want to lose money, but if you do lose a little bit of money on the first deal, at least you're in the game. So just go out there, underwrite well, buy the deal, and you will not regret it in the future. All right. Next question is about the U.S. It's a big place. There is a lot of opportunity out there. Give me the single metro you're most excited about investing in today.
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area. I think it's going to be some great appreciation there.
All right. You're the first person to say Pittsburgh. A lot of firsts on this episode. I love it. Next question is about finding deals. It all starts with getting in contact with the seller and writing that purchase agreement. So what is a good way, your favorite way to generate leads and find new deals?
Network, 100%. Whether it be going out for coffee, meeting people, let people know that you are looking for real estate. Your network is number one to find deals.
100%. Could not agree more. That is also echoed across many, many episodes on this show. So again, if you guys are out there and you're trying to figure out how to find a good deal, go out, start shaking hands, start meeting people, having coffees. It is the best way to get deals and a whole bunch of other things, capital, partners, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. Next question is about lesson learned. Not every deal that we get into goes the way we expect it. In fact, oftentimes a wrench is thrown into the mix and we get to learn a lesson. So what was a deal that went a little bit sideways for you? And then what was the lesson you pulled from it?
Ooh, I've been fortunate. I've been really, really fortunate. Money solves all problems though.
100%.
Cash flow solves all problems. So make sure you go in with enough spread. I think that's one of the biggest things. People, they get deals, they don't have enough. The war chest isn't big enough. So going with enough spread.
Yep. And that's enough spread on the cash flow side, as well as your operating capital. Go into deals with more money than you think you need on the sidelines because you will need it. Guaranteed. Next question is about raising capital. It takes money to make money in real estate. That is 100% true. So what is your favorite way to raise capital?
I'll be honest, I did it all myself. I worked hard. I saved up for it. So number 2 would be bank, and number 3, I think OPM, other people's money.
All right. That brings us to the very last question. This is for the listeners. You've given us a lot to think about. I'm sure people want to reach out, get in contact with you. This is a 2-parter. Where can they find you? And then what can they expect when they reach out?
You can reach out to me on all social media, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. It's always me, and I always respond. Ask me any question. I'm happy. Mention that you saw me here. I'll shoot you a follow back.
There you go. All right. Well, hey, man, that wraps it up. Thank you very much for hopping on the show.
Thanks for having me, Gabe. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. For everybody who's here with us today, thank you guys for showing up. You are the reason we do this. So if you guys have any questions, reach out to me, Gabe at therealestateinvestingclub.com. If you guys want to support the show, just give us a review on whatever you're listening to this on. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great week. Keep rocking real estate, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. All right, before I officially sign off, I have a quick announcement to make. If you're interested in becoming a passive investor in one of my deals, my own company, Kaizen Properties, is looking for capital partners for our upcoming projects. We invest in what are known as recession-resistant assets, mainly self-storage facilities, mobile home and RV parks, and industrial properties. If you're interested in investing and would like to learn a little bit more about my company, our investing criteria, and some of the previous projects we've done, go to the Real Estate Investing Club podcast at therealestateinvestingclub.com and scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page. Click on the Invest With Us button. That'll pop up the investor form. Fill that out, and we will reach back out to you as soon as we can. Or if you prefer a little bit more of a personal touch, you can reach out to me at Gabe at therealestateinvestingclub.com. So really, that is it. Again, it was a pleasure hanging out with you guys during this episode, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.